Next come the belts. There are actually two ways to fold a belt, or to pack a belt. The first is to simply roll it up around the buckle and place it in tissue. This is the optimum way, because the rest of the items in the suitcase are protected from the buckle, which could do damage otherwise. And it's especially useful when you have a belt that has a lot of texture to it. It isn't just a buckle that's potentially harmful to other fabrics. This is an alternative way when there's just a buckle that needs to be protected, and also when there may be a bit of a space issue in the suitcase. You just simply wrap up the buckle and then snake the belt around the inside of the suitcase like this. What we've done actually is created a sandwich or a Peter pocket, whereby the bottom part of the trousers, the shirts, the jackets acted as a sandwich. The piece of bread on the bottom of the sandwich. Then the items such as the underwear and things that we folded within the suitcase, they act as the filler. Now what we're doing, we're going to flip over the bottom of the jackets, the shirts and the trousers, and in effect create the second piece of bread in the sandwich. The reason we do this is because this system will allow the clothes to be bent over on other clothes rather than over on themselves. Meaning that if you were to fold an item of clothing over on itself, there would be a crease at that point. But if you put other things in between, they create a U shape for the clothing that's being bent over. And so when you put a jacket, you always put the sleeves down first, you bend those over first, make sure there's no creases before you bend the body of the item of clothing. Then notice that she's putting another piece of tissue paper before folding in the other items. There's the bottom of the second jacket. What in effect has happened is that she has created a cocoon. There's a bit of space over at the top of the suitcase, and there's a bit of space over at the bottom. If you push up slightly on the whole package, you create enough space at the bottom to put heavier items. When you have a suitcase that's traveling through the airlines, you don't know which the airline is going to consider the top or the bottom of the suitcase, because they could flip the suitcase one way or the other, so you can't put heavy items on top here. But one area of the suitcase that is not on top, is always the bottom, is this section here. Because the airlines will never put the suitcase on its handle. So therefore, we're now going to put shoes in the bottom here. When packing shoes, it's always a good idea to put them in a shoe bag, to protect other items in the suitcase from potential dirt or even shoe polish on the shoes. And you want to put the soles against the bottom of the suitcase, because it fits the flat surface there, and the heels in the corner. The heels are obviously larger than the toes, and there's more room, generally speaking, in the corner of the suitcase. There is still space at the bottom of the suitcase where we could put heavier items, not very big ones. In our particular case, we're going to put a toiletry bag or a sponge bag. The first thing to do, however, because there's a lot of pressure in aeroplanes sometimes that can cause bottles that are not fully closed to leak liquids, or even if they are fully closed, they may burst. So the last thing we want is for a bunch of liquids to be all over the clothing. Hence the plastic bags. So that's put there. Another item that's often packed is ties. So that basically shows the major items, kind of items that one would want to pack. Packing a suitcase, if you're working in a hospitality environment, you'd really want to do it in about 10 minutes or less. So one does have to work quite fast. There are a few other items that one needs to be able to pack. For instance, delicate items of clothing, especially ladies' delicate blouses or underwear or bras or stockings. They should be packed in tissue. Individually packed in tissue so as to protect them. So I wish to thank Mrs. Ferry for packing the suitcase.